What's up? It is 3 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to Cannabis Legalization News, where we explain marijuana laws so you can change them. Today, we're going to give you a little federal cannabis legalization news update. So let's just get right into it. Hey, Miggy.
Hey.
Hey! It's Sunday, and there's already 46 people joining us. Thanks so much. Smash them likes and click subscribe. We have federal cannabis legalization news coming at you right now.
Yeah, a lot's gone on this past 2 weeks.
So much. My man bun has gotten ridiculous. However, I got vaccinated.
Oh, you completely? Did you get the 1 shot, 2 shot?
One and done. I got the Johnson & Johnson on April Fool's Day. And so I'm a township trustee in the state of Illinois. And so I was able to get one. And they had them at the municipal village, hall. And they're like, hey, come get them. I'm like, it's April Fool's, right?
Oh, shit. I know, right? God.
But no, it was legit. And that sucker gets you sick. The side effects are real for the J&J one and done. And I've heard like the second dose of the other vaccine is, get you sick. Or the first dose, if you've already had COVID, is like the bad one.
I get my second dose on 420, so we'll find out then.
Oh, yeah. Well, 421 for you might feel bad. It'll just be a mild flu, but that's all right. And so now the weird thing is, even though I'm one and done and vaccinated, I'm not fully vaccinated until I wait 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's the other weird thing, right? It's got to kick in or something or build the immunities. I don't know. But, meanwhile, the Schumer says the bill to legalize marijuana federally will be filed shortly.
Hey, this is the 19th time we've reported on Schumer saying, here it comes. If you want to see more of our Schumer episodes about what the Senate's saying, check out our other ones. Just go to Cannabis Legalization News, our channel on YouTube, and put in Schumer on it. There's probably 9 videos of us reporting on what Schumer has said repeatedly. And then the only thing he ever says is, it's coming.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the vaccine's more real than Schumer's legalization. It's just,
yeah. And then now they're all talking about infrastructure. That's all that was on the news today was infrastructure. Yeah. Nobody's talking about cannabis legalization unless you're on the East Coast.
And this is ridiculous because all this bullshit talk about infrastructure and enabling jobs, legalization is so about that. It would
so much, especially the way that they look like they're unrolling legalization in the Garden State and also in New York. They are trying to make Schumer mentions this where you don't want these big companies, the big tobacco and the alcohol companies coming in, swooping all the licenses. New York has, I think it's supposed to be like 50% small ownership. With New Jersey, it's going to be at least 35% small ownership. There is going to be a lot of entrepreneurs that get started in the out east for cannabis they pull it out correctly, if they pull it off correctly, man.
Well, I think it was very well written in New York, but as we all, because it's going to flounder for a while, it's going to be nothing, right? That gray area we talked about, the green gray area.
Green gray area is now in New York, and so now you have this interesting shift between the legacy operators that are operating now with a little bit more impunity, or at least they feel like they are because it's legal. And then also you have the only licensed operators in the state. There's only 10 licensed operators in the state of New York. We are going to be checking prices. We've pulled up prices of a New York dispensary. So if you want to see prices of a New York dispensary, don't forget to smash some likes, click subscribe, and then stick around until after we play Name That Strain. Then we'll go, hey, what's an eighth cost at a dispensary in New York City?
Dude, just like how it used to be in High Times. We talked about, remember we talked about with Robert Platshore and the Big Tuna, how they used to use the High Times stock report for the prices in various states. I mean, that's the way it used to be.
It's still there. I can go get because I'm a subscriber. That's right. Don't forget to join us on Cannabis Legalization News, where we will use your money to pay for our High Times subscription and then write it off as a business expense.
I want to use your money to buy my weed. Let's do that. Let's go.
All right, let's start sponsoring. Miggy needs some weed money, but that's where the illegality starts coming. So we're going to have to first make sure that Wiggy is not I might need to start deducting the cost of my weed. I already deduct the cost of all my grow equipment,
True. I mean, well, again, that's all semantics, right? You might get in trouble if you do try and do the cost of your weed, because I mean, essentially this is like those guys that got in trouble, with the credit card stuff. I mean,
no, the credit card stuff, that is literally against the law. Like what they were doing was literally against the law. So whenever I read these new, pitches that I see out of finance companies saying that they can legally use credit cards, I'm like, something happened that I don't know about.
So all these cats that are saying that, they're pretty much using somebody else in a foreign country that's willing to take a risk and not coming through.
If they're doing credit card transactions, they're just doing straight up fraud. But if they're doing a cashless ATM, then that's the only close loophole that I've really seen. But then you're using a debit card, and then it's a cash transaction. So like, as opposed to the ATM giving you cash, it goes into the account of the dispensary that you're buying it at. And so that's like the only real workaround that I've seen that I'm like, if I was giving you an opinion letter for, as my law firm giving you an opinion letter, I'd feel comfortable giving you this one. I would not feel any comfortable giving anybody an opinion letter regarding a credit card transaction until Schedule 1 is no longer a thing.
Got you. But, and the way Schumer's talking, right? Schumer said, I support decriminalization at the federal level and will be introducing legislation with a few of my colleagues shortly. Shortly, motherfucker.
Shortly. He has been, shortly, that guy, it's just kind of like the one in Bring Out Your Dead, that, what was the name of that comedy troupe? Monty Python. Yeah, where it's like, I'm not dead yet. It's like, oh, come on, you're already dead. You just should have get off the pot, buddy.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go, Schumer.
Or maybe just Schumer has really good foreplay. I mean, maybe he's like the master of foreplay. I'm just going to tell you, I'm coming for you here, months and months into it.
We're going to be doing an episode on the filibuster here pretty shortly on cannabis legalization news. So stick around for that, because no matter what Schumer introduces, we're going to talk about what he does introduce, and then what does the filibuster have to do with cannabis legalization? And is that just going to totally screw everything up?
Well, according to him, decriminalization is legalization. Applying the two terms are interchangeable. At the federal level, you can call it decriminalization because that lets the states legalize. I mean, again, we're going to have this, like, they're going to, it's like in New York. New York just now stated to the cops that they can't arrest people for marijuana smell. And now you can consume cannabis where you can smoke cigarettes in all of New York City. New York City used to be the cannabis was a low hanging fruit for criminality, just like the guy who got choked out for illegal cigarettes. Can you imagine what cannabis was viewed as when it comes to criminality? Like, you're a bad guy, especially if you were, a young minority. You're a target, easy target, because you don't have the means to get out of the system once you're in. But now that that's gone, and so this is huge for New York, and I think the America in general. If this decriminalization happens, it'll be one less thing for them to come after you for, one less thing for to be an excuse to arrest you or take your kids or any other bullshit that we have to deal with.
Who knows, man? What do you think our new member's name is? C3. Shout out to C3 for joining the membership over here at CLN. He's going to go help make us create new content, and he's out of New York, and we're also glad that they've finally legalized out there as well.
It's gonna be a big deal, because being someone I used to live on the East Coast, dude. I've gotten weed in New York, I've gotten weed in Philadelphia, and that was back in the days of serious. Like, you had to know, like, knock the door 2 times, order the special pizza, and you get a box with like an eighth in the center. It's
all sorts of tomfoolery.
And it's safe access. This is all about safe access for everybody.
And then safe access doesn't just mean like the ability to buy it. It means the ability to like turn it over and look at the labels so you can know what was put into the plant. And one of the things that I am excited about, if Illinois ever hands out licenses, and there's no indication that they will, they could have organic cannabis in the state of Illinois. That would be something else. Organic regenerative cannabis. I wonder if that's ever going to be something that I can lawfully buy. I mean, it will be. I mean, when I get to go out to, it's going to be fun this summer sometime. I'm not sure when you guys, if you are watching and you're on the Gangier over at Greenflower, but I'm in the Gangier course. And so I'm going to be going out west for my tasting training, which is going to be a lot of weed smoking. And so like, I'm trying to, figure out when to do that and how to promote that. But we're going to have a green flower promotion on the show here starting on Wednesday. So don't forget to tune into that, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
No doubt, dude. I mean, that's the great thing about the cannabis industry as far as like the young part of it right now. We're at this budding part where you can do things like that. I mean, and don't forget when you do this, the sommelier version of Gangier, you gotta have your pinkies out when you do the taste test.
Oh no, they get real snooty when they're rolling joints. Some people have like no glue on their rolling papers, because that could be like bad, or like they have like rice only rolling, and they have like special roach clips and stuff, and they won't be passing the joint because that'll screw up the roll on it. I mean, it's just like there is weed snobbery, and then there is the people that I'm going to be smoking with going like, let me taste that. You're lucky that's delicious.
People walk into the dispensary and embody that one meme. I know more than you.
Oh goodness, they certainly do. They certainly do. But that's fun though. I mean, like that's one of the great things about this plant is that it's like an onion with so many different levels that you can always be learning more about it.
Yeah, no, it's and it's only a matter of time, right? Because I mean, Schumer's still pushing the fact that the Senate will act on marijuana legalization with or without Biden. So, that's in Politico, and I know we all kind of question whether this knucklehead's going to come. He's like, I want to make my arguments to him, as many other advocates will, but at some point we're going to move forward, period. Like, what does that mean, Schumer? I'm tired of these semantics of having to do shit with 420, dude. Like I told my wife yesterday, I was like, I'm tired of 420, honestly. Like I love 420, but I'm tired of all the bullshit semantic politics that happen on this day. Like this shit should happen today or yesterday.
Right. Well, I mean, again, it hits the Senate. I get that, but it's 50-50 in the Senate. And so if they want to stop anything, they can just vote to object. And then they can't get it out of cloture unless they got 60 votes. And there's no way in hell that 10 Republicans are going to vote to end that debate and actually bring the legalization of cannabis to a vote. I have no idea if the Safe Banking Act is going to make it out of the filibuster. And that's why we're going to be making that episode about how the filibuster works. However, that they are going to introduce it is great. And then we can start having that discussion. And I think what's going to happen is they're going to go from 1 to 3. And so the industry will kind of be on board with it, because that means that the industry is suddenly going to be way more profitable because IRC 280E goes out the window. It's still going to be illegal. And so I think all those bank crimes still would happen. So you still need the Safe Banking Act as a package deal of this, descheduling down to Schedule 3. And then it's still the wrong policy. It's disingenuous to put it there. Because that's where Marinol is. Like it's synthetic actual drug version is there.
Sure. Or even the spice. I imagine that's in that level, right? Like I
think synthetic cannabinoids are Schedule 1.
Yeah. So it's all bullshit. And how is it that we can't get 10 Republicans to vote for something that is more popular than any presidential side candidate? I mean, we just had 2 states legalize it, right? Shout out to New Mexico and New York. And then
all the news. Like it was the month of new. It was New Jersey, New York, New Mexico.
Yeah, and then Virginia wants to speed it up. They're like, oh shit, we don't want to wait till 2024.
I mean, I understand that it takes time to sit the regulators and to get the rules in order. And I was just watching a great documentary webinar in Massachusetts about their delivery operator license. And that was fascinating how they're doing things in Massachusetts. And it's more efficacious what they're doing out there than what they're doing in Illinois, even though they've had, because they have host communities there, they've had a lot of problems with corruption and bribes. However, at least the industry is kind of moving as opposed to just being stuck like Illinois is. So I'm hopeful that New Jersey and New York, their industry will move, and then they will get people licensed, and people can go from legacy to license really, really well. And they can do that. But, those operators that are currently there, they want their monopoly. They just lost a lot of money, like propping up medical cannabis in New York and New Jersey. They want their payoff.
Well, that's part of your problem in Illinois, right? Like you guys with the medical side, you guys had an inherent already like the GTI people. I know there's bad stories about them that I hear about, like how they treat their people, whatever. But you have these corporate cannabis. This is the stuff that people fear. And then once, like you said, federally before, these guys are setting themselves up for failure because they locked this whole like my state only pay to play. When the transition happens, we're going to throw lawsuits and not let more people in or sue to get more in. But you guys had a regulated medical market. We never had that here, you know, and I think that was part of our problem, which killed our medical program. You know, like we only have, I think, 2 or 3 actual medical markets that I can go to if I wanted to be a patient. You get a bullshit discount, but it's not what medical used to be. The quality or the quantity, you know, what it used to be is not there yet still for the patients or even for just the average consumer, which is
we're gonna check New York flower prices later, New York medical flower prices. You will still be like, man, that is way worse than what we had in medical for Washington State in the 90s. And that'll be true. But let's get back to what Schumer was saying. Schumer's quoting, the legalization of states worked out remarkably well. They were a great success. The parade of horribles never came about and people got more freedom and jobs, you know, which is great. I cannot tell you, and everybody that's out east now feels it as well. You don't feel like a criminal anymore. You don't feel like you're trying to hide something. You don't feel like, you know, like that one thing you were talking about, the pizza with the 8th in it because you ordered it with extra mushrooms.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool.
You know, and now I gotta go off this little rant here just because this thing freaking, and it's all along the criminality thing as you're talking about, right? Like, I showed you this article before. It has to do with the insurrection that happened on January 6th, right? Everybody thinks I live in a Seattle utopia. The Pacific Northwest is this social justice warrior utopia that we all can refer to each other as he, hey, them, there. What's up? You know, and it's not, right? Like, so in Seattle, the police department had the most goddamn people at the insurrection, law enforcement, right? So my point being is because we have recreational legalization here in Washington State, marijuana is not a issue for these fuckers to come at me. Like, this is why I curse and I get so mad and vehement because there's somebody out there willing to mess with my life. And with that being said, you know, in Texas, who really needs it, this gentleman, Marvin Scott III, lost his fucking life over pot and behind bars. Like, we are still going through the Derek Chauvin trial, and this shit's still happening. And the only reason why people were mad that last summer was because there was a videotape that lasted nine minutes.
Yeah, and you know what? That fucking sucks. You know, I mean, everybody should be pissed off. And so right now is a good time. It's 20 past the hour for all of us to just take a deep breath, try to calm down. So anyway,
it's why this is important, though. This is why legalization is important, because it doesn't empower the wrong bullshit enforcement law, right? Like, go after kid fuckers, go after rapists, go after
test the rape kits. Why not? How about you do that? Hey, let's go back to the political question that Schumer had to field. What difference does the fact that the Senate is now controlled by Democrats make for legalization? And is 51 votes enough to pass the bill that you're about to propose? To which Chuck Schumer retorted. Let's put up the picture of him. As you can see him speaking now. Probably the most important power of the majority leader is the ability to put bills on the floor. And the fact that I'm introducing a bill and the fact that people will know that there's going to be a vote on this sooner or later, that's a big difference. Even when states were for this, if then Senate minority, I'm sorry, then the Senate majority leader was, Mitch McConnell wouldn't bring the bill up. Yep. Their senators were never challenged. How are you going to vote? And they could say, well, I don't know. They don't have to say anything. And so that's not going to be what we're going to do. It's not going to help move things forward. And so that bill will come to the floor for a vote, and it's going to help move these things forward in a very strong way. And so that's how Schumer is different than McConnell in that respect, whereas McConnell would keep anything from coming to a vote. For like example, the Safe Banking Act and the MORE Act both made it to the Senate as they were introduced there and they passed out of the House. They never came up for a vote.
But I like Schumer's tactic here, right? We're gonna put up to the vote, and we're gonna make your constituents stand on the left. They got to pick a side. They have to pick a side.
But listen, hang on. Let's unpack it a little bit, because he can introduce it to the floor, and then they'll start debating it. It won't get to a vote because it'll get filibustered, and they'll never end debate, because they can phone in the filibuster now. And that's one of the things that we're going to do in that video, is we'll explain why did the filibuster that we remember from being childhood in the 50s, it was in black and white at the time. I don't have my filters on right now, otherwise I'd have some fun. But with the Mr. Smith going to Washington, and he passed out from exhaustion from filibustering that long, that's no longer how it is. Now it's just like, I intend to object, going on lunch.
No, I understand. And this is why the filibuster is ruining the process right now. But also, once it gets thrown on the floor, this gives us the opportunity to hound. I say it all the time, that I am neither Republican, Democrat. I don't care what you do at home. I don't care who you do. But this issue right now is clearly the Democrats are for and the Republicans are against.
95%.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. This is definitely it shouldn't be a partisan thing, but it is. Like the people who say in our comments, well, I'm Republican and I smoke, and we're not all like this. We understand, but the people in charge, you're the party of MAGA now. I'm sorry, you guys, you're
the party that prevented the thing from getting a floor vote. But let's do a shout out to Hugh Janis for throwing us fiber, and then also to Vincent Ruckus. With New York going legal, how likely does that force Connecticut's hand in legalizing 2021? We think that Connecticut will be the next one to go.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And so from everything that Connecticut, Rhode Island, I guess they're kind of racing one another. New England is going to be breaking everywhere. And so we'll be doing more content on all of New England as they go. I think we just did, I haven't been recording stuff. And so we have stuff that's done on the web page, but then I should do videos about Maine's law, for example, and then Connecticut's law. And then, so I think Connecticut, Rhode Island, maybe Pennsylvania this year, but I don't think so.
I don't know, man. I think the East Coast is going to lock it in. I think, once Virginia gets their stuff in July, I mean, let's think about it this way too. Virginia is a tourist place. When I used to live in Jersey, Virginia for lovers, this is how they know they get the commerce and everything like that, slogans. It seems to me strategic that you're trying to get legal before summer. It just seems to me this is going to be a place that you want to enjoy.
Virginia's got some really cool cats that actually growed out there too, so they have a fairly sweet scene, and I'm looking forward to getting into the Virginia market more and more. But we gotta legalization takes time, and then it's usually wrong in the first year. And so welcome to legalization. You have 3 more years before this gets okay. And even then, you're sitting out there in Washington State. How's legalization going?
No homegrown.
I understand, but can you get a license? I mean, you can. You might have to buy it. You can buy it though.
Yeah. If I have
you can't even buy a license in Illinois.
Well, you can't transfer one someone. Well, that's what I'm saying. I can't buy one like that. Same thing here in Washington.
Oh, no, but you can. We could probably go discount shopping in Washington State and try to find a distressed asset. I don't think you can find a distressed asset in Illinois.
Oh, because you guys are just the market is greater
it's
than.
So limited. It's so limited that everybody's just printing money, and so they want this ridiculous premium on their license. They're like, no, 20 million. Come on.
Yeah, but distressed asset in Washington would be a 3-hour drive, because they also lock in the license with location. There's a reason, because that's a thing. So, I mean, you can definitely buy the shittiest struggling store, but there's probably a reason why it's struggling too. When I used to sell, I used to be in sales, right? I used to work in a mall. I used to work at a clothing store, and I used to work at a cookie store. And when you work in sales, it's not hard, because when people come to the store, they're generally already have intention to get, I used to work in this unisex store called Al Catan, so male and female, and mostly female clientele. And when women are shopping, it's pretty easy. You just say, that looks good on you, right? And most likely they'll buy it. But you know how I used to sell weed when I sold weed in the black market? I'd say, I have weed. It's not, you don't gotta fucking stress shit, man.
Well, again, quality was always the factor when buying weed back in the day. So let's go back to the Political interview with Schumer to see if they got any more details from him. So Political asked Schumer, what role does President Biden play all in this? He does not have support of the full legalization of cannabis. Are you worried that he could veto the bill if you pass it? And so Schumer answers, well, he said he'd like to see more information on the issue. I respect that. I certainly will have an ongoing conversation with him and tell him how my views have evolved and hope that his will too. And so there you go. Will the Senate move forward even if the president's views do not evolve? And so Schumer says they will move forward, and he is studying the issue. So I obviously want him to give him a little more study time. I want to make my arguments to him, and many other advocates do as well. But at some point, we're going to have to move forward, period.
Yesterday. But yeah, I mean, again, watching Senator Kruger in New York give her presentation it brought me like tears and shit. Like there's somebody that gives a fuck.
Yeah, and then shout out to Representative Stokes, I believe was her name.
Yeah.
This is amazing that women are legalizing weed.
Yeah, no, essentially
they are. And then women legalized weed in Illinois, women legalized weed in New York, and they were just freaking amazing, like up there defending that like gladiators. But I'm not sure if gladiator has like a feminine gladiatrix, maybe.
I don't know. Let's not kill that one. But
this is Cannabis Legalization news. This is not Word Etymology Corner. That is a different channel. Please check out Word Etymology Corner. Yeah.
Right. So you want to stay in the federal, or do we want to go into the three?
Well, have we talked enough about like what we think? I think, have we kicked this dead horse enough? Because like I feel so bad that we do these things about Schumer and like the federal bill and the federal information, and then it's just like coming soon.
Schumer's goddamn Lucy and goddamn Charlie Brown. I mean,
like he's gonna kick the football. We're gonna get it this time, right? Yeah.
But the fact that this bullshit drops every 420, like, why do we have to wait for like some extravagant, metaphorical, mean type day? Like, let's just do it today. Let's just do it yesterday. Let's fix the situation and make America better now. Because, as people sit behind bars, as people are dying behind bars, I mean, literally dying. Like last week, another family in Oklahoma is being messed with. There's just too much wrong that this could help. Legalization can make us less paranoid. It can make life better for our citizenry. I guess that'd be a word, right? Like citizenship. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this is ridiculous, dude. Like the fact that you and I have a channel and we got 20,000 people that hang out with us, and all we're doing is saying legalize weed. But then at the same time, someone out there hates us and is against us automatically, just because we stand for one freaking thing, which is it's not a single voter issue. This is everything issue.
This is a health issue. This is a wellness issue. This is and this is even an infrastructure issue. This is a carbon sequestration issue. This is a
environment,
natural resource issue. This thing is big. I love that. That hemp can be turned into batteries.
Yes,
we could be powering the country from hemp and creating all the products that we use every day. Those don't need to be made from trees and cotton and oil. Those could be made from the cannabis plant. Diesel, we don't have to be processing that oil, and so why aren't we subsidizing hemp farming? Why aren't we subsidizing the big infrastructure plan that it's going to take to create the industrial hemp infrastructure that can create cheap paper, that can create cheap clothing that's made in America out of renewable products, and that can like sequester the carbon that we're just yanking or just belching into the atmosphere, You know
why though?
Yanking out of the ocean.
You know why though?
Why? Because we can't have nice things?
Exactly. Well, no, it's that bullshit that remember I shared with you in Texas, the prohibitionists that showed those billboards talking about THC causes psychosis. Another one was THC makes you not, when we had
that news is so bad. Do you have like the graphics from that news? Because we should cover it. But first, let's have some good news. Let's play a little Name That Strain.
Oh, there you go.
There is a strain. It has a name. Name that strain.
For the radio audience, this is a light green mixed with dark evergreen hints. We got some, I would say those are not full red hairs, probably trimmed down. Yeah. Very well trimmed.
Very well trimmed. Almost looks like it's been manicured by an automatic trimming machine. Yeah. And it looks kind of compressed as well. But we have some dark green mixed with some very, very light green, all of it frosty.
Frosty
but it
Swap.
looks compressed. It looks kind of compressed, and so it's difficult to maybe make out its natural shape. And so that's one of the reasons why some people enjoy less well-trimmed products, so that they can actually, hopefully some of the volatile terpenes haven't evaporated when you have a less well-trimmed product. And that's one of my big gripes against Illinois manufactured cannabis is the, okay, well, that's the end of Name That Strain. And that goes into the history books as our fastest strain that has done been named by Ha 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 Ha. And he has a picture of the Joker as his favicon, and it is Blue Dream. So Name That Strain. That was fast.
That was awesome. You guys scared me the fuck out of me. You're like, dude, it's got hints of like cocoa butter, and I can smell the trilupylene, and I got
Terpinolene.
Dude, there's so many peens.
Oh, there's so many peens. Watch out for the alls. The alls are the swag terpenes. And so like those are like the really heavy sesquiterpenes that just aren't getting out of the plant. They kind of smell like hay or like swag. I mean, if you've smelled swag, those are like the phiols and the other ones. There's 4 of them. The names escape me right now. I should make a mnemonic device out of them, but a lot of them end in the all. Bisbiol is one, and maybe like Niridol is another. But yeah.
I'm gonna pull that picture up here in a second.
Well, you do that, but then I'm going to go to the next federal news story. 3 in 4 United States voters support ending federal marijuana prohibition, according to a new poll. This book also came out on April Fool's Day, so we are going to check with our fact checkers to ensure that this is actually an accurate poll and not just something that we wish was a headline. 3 in 4 American voters support either legalizing marijuana nationally or letting states decide on the policy, according to a new poll. Only 25% want to broadly enforce cannabis prohibition across the country, which makes me ask, who the heck are those 25% of the people? Can we like get a demographic study on that? So after we've identified the people that are the 25% that really do not want a change in the federal policy, I would then like data sets on them. So if you don't want cannabis prohibition, are you more likely to own a gun? What color are you? How old are you? You know, what do you do for a living? You know, all those things. That would be great, those data points, so that we understand who is standing in the way. And by the way, when 3/4 of people want something, will they get it?
Not if you're in North Dakota, right? Or South Dakota.
Well, that was a closer one, because it was South Dakota, and then on its medical, I want to say it was like 70-ish to 80-ish% passed for the medical, because they went both. They said, "Hey, hold my beer. We're going to go from medical to legal, one fell swoop."
Yeah, they said, "Hold my beer." The governor said,
I think the adult use one was 56-40 or 54-46. It was closer, but it was still a substantial majority of the population wanted it, and they were like, no, you can't. And that's one of the things I'm kind of worried about Mississippi. Oh, I can't wait for Mississippi to release their regulations here in about another month.
Well, and you know, if so here, let's share that picture here about the shit that we're going against. This was in Texas by the West Texas HIDTA. There's not sure border protection. Anyways, they're placing these billboards across Texas, fear mongering, you know, trying to slow down the conversation. This was identified by my friend Colton DeMorris. He's El Paso's Normal founder, and but this is what I'm talking about when it comes to like why we can't have nice things. Why 10 Republicans can't just get their head out of their ass and think this is something that the majority of people want, because somebody with funding is posting this shit and making people think there's this bullshit like reason to not legalize.
That was just pure propaganda. Just pure and government funded propaganda, right?
Exactly.
Right. And so the official policy of the government is this is a problem, and it always has been. And so that's why there hasn't been any cannabis research. That's why they're able to continue to lock people up, because that's the party line. That's the official government line. The official government line is that this is a Schedule I substance like heroin, which means that there is no such thing as medical marijuana. According to federal law, there is no such thing of medical marijuana, which is so abysmal when you consider that when that law was passed, we had no idea what the endocannabinoid system was. There would be another 20 years, 22, before we would find that out. And as soon as they found that out, and as soon as now, especially like we had Dr. Ethan Russo on the show, and if you haven't yet, click the like, and then you'll get more of these, and then subscribe, and then go to our channel and search for Dr. Ethan Russo's episode. It's fascinating. If you ever want to know how terpenes and cannabinoids are all made on the bract of the flower in the, what do they call those things? The big, pistils? No, the stuff where all the glands are, the gooey stuff. Trichomes.
Trichomes,
yeah, good stuff. So watch the Ethan Russo episode on that.
But the other thing too, at the same time that we're part of this bullshit issue of like, okay, this is a federally scheduled legal plant that has no medical value bearing. At the same time they say that, there was 15 federal medical patients. 15 right. Federal medical patients. At the same time, there's a federal law against this being it still is being medically. Like, what side do you believe? Like, this is bullshit that the one over the other. Like, they stopped that program. What was it, the NIDA? Mm-hmm. Was that the one with the 15 federal patients? They stopped that cold because it was proving beneficial.
They stopped it cold because of the AIDS epidemic, and people were getting into it. And so what we're going to do right now is C3 or Say3 just gave us a 420, and he said set up a fund for counter propaganda. We don't necessarily have a fund for counter propaganda. Let me flip this link to Lauren. It is the first of the month, which means that at Cannabis Legalization News, we go to our channel analytic page to see how we did last month, to see what Google paid us. And then from there, we take 50 cents on the dollar and we pivot to Cannabis Commissary. And so, Lauren, you got that one queued up so we can see how much money we made? Oh, there she is. Okay, so last month we did all right-ish, $282. So and then I'm going to just round down because I can't do a cent and a half. There it is. And so what I'll do, it's going to be $141 to Stephanie Landa's. What's
Freedom
the name?
Grow Forever. Freedom Grow Forever. Yeah, it's a great group. Supporting prisoners and locked up. Commissary needs. This is, yesterday I was on a Hash Bash, and it's always funny to try and tell people what I do. Like, what do you do for weed? I'm like, I try and like prisoners. Most people who know me have been locked up or been in trouble for something because I try to help them. Like that's who I've been, and so it's like. Well, I try to give hope to people, and that's what Stephanie Landa's group does. They, commissaries, letters. You're locked up in a single cell by yourself. Like when I was in the Navy, there's moments when you're deployed and you don't touch land and shit like that. You think, oh, this is like prison. Oh no, I still had some rights. So I understand how dredge it could be, and that's why it's important to help these guys out. Minnesota.
Yeah, can you check when Minnesota is going legal? I heard July. Now Minnesota isn't, and so me being somewhat dyslexic, I thought that said NM because New Mexico legalized last week, and so I was looking for that. But now New Mexico, that's going to become effective after the governor signs it, and then you read the law. Hopefully, it's going to be effective immediately. And then they'll do a licensing round. Commercial sales in New Mexico going to start no later than April 1st, 2022. Which would be great. And then a licensing round, maybe around that time in 2022. That'll give them more than enough time to draft all the rules and prepare the commission. That's really important, preparing that commission and being sure that the regulators are prepared and they know the kerfluffles that are coming with these cannabis licenses.
Well, Minnesota has medical right now, and I really would love to try some of their medical one day. But I did get a contact from somebody from Minnesota, and see what they said about. Nothing.
Let's check into the price. Let's say that you want to go buy an eighth of medical weed in New York. We're going to check the prices of Manhattan eighths. Let's go check the price of an eighth in Manhattan. Let's see. That is an indica. 20-1 DSC indica ground flower from Curaleaf. It is $90 for 7 grams. So that would be a $45 eighth. Now, isn't that weird? It says indica 20-1 ratio ground flower. So, boy, I guess you can't buy weed in New York that's like in bud form. You have to buy it in this. I mean, there's a sativa by Curaleaf, also ground flower 20-1.
Well, I'm surprised they have it the website already available, like a delivery service set up or whatever they're doing, right? Because they don't have dispensaries out there yet, do they?
Oh, no, they have dispensaries in New York.
Okay.
It's just that they only have medical, and it appears that you can get. Did they have anything? Because like the 8th, if you buy in bulk, is going to be that. And so a cart, I got a vape cart here, a sativa 20-to-1, 80%, 400 milligram. That's a $65 vape cart that I'm seeing.
The fact that it's going to be ground's fucked up.
Yeah.
You're breaking up terpenes. Yeah.
Right. And so like the fact that it's ground does mean that they still don't respect the plant.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's it right there, man. You know, and fuck, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Have to do that blend. They must have to put in, like, they must not allow a 100% THC flower if they're doing these 20-to-1 ground blends.
Yeah.
And then I got a Columbia Care one here. Columbia Care Indica 20-to-1 ground flower, and that's it. So like Indica.
Well,
That's just a morphology. That has very little to do with like what's actually in the plant and how it's going to make you feel.
Well, and I think when we talked to Blue Dream Radio, when we had them from New York, he was saying that their potency was not where he liked it at. So I imagine they have a pretty weak medical market.
But Curaleaf is there and Columbia Care is there. And those are Curaleaf's the largest cannabis operator, at least if you look at the stock price.
Mm.
Yep.
Now, is that one of the ones that are just sucking money out?
They can go to the window and just sell more stock. And that's one of the nice things about them. But evidently, Curaleaf is a $12 billion company. They just spent $253 million to buy a whole bunch of licenses in Europe. And they can then go issue more stock and then raise more funds and then go after licenses in your state. And that's just one of the issues where you then have these large conglomerates that have acquired all the resources, gone after capital, got listed in the Canadian Stock Exchange, and then you have all these bros at home, and I do mean bros, like people that are on like the Robinhood stock app, and they buy cryptocurrency and they just day trade and stuff. And so like a lot of day traders are the ones that actually own the cannabis stocks. So keep liking and subscribing to Cannabis Legalization News so that in like 7 or 8 years, when it's actually legal and you can actually list on the exchange, we can then manipulate the bros and be like, we don't like this stock anymore. Everybody sell it now.
No, for real, dude. Because I mean, like the ignorance and bullshit that we're here for. So let me just share this one real quick because you shared this one in the chat a while ago with that CBD Store Raid, the CBD Store Raid.
Yeah.
So this is crazy because CBD Store raided Waukesha County Sheriff.
Waukesha County Sheriff investigates after two kids overdose.
Yeah, store owner said if officers caused more than $100,000 worth of damages and was unaware of the overdose. Like first off, what gummies and Delta 8, right? I think that's
probably Delta 8. But then you have to remember, because of the federal regulations, you can make gummies that are from hemp that will have enough THC to have a psychoactive effect. And so if they raise it to 1% THC, that would be ridiculous, because then think about what that means. So let's say your gummy weighs 5 grams, right? And so it's only 1% THC, and it's 5 grams. That would be a 50 milligram gummy.
Right. But the thing is, these cops that decided, okay, first off, let's reanalyze what happened here, like an overdose, what they reference, right? So this kid all of a sudden he got into some parents' gummies, that's the parent's responsibility, not the store owner. And then the kid eats them. I'm just saying gummies. We don't know, right? It could have been a bunch of pre-rolls that the kid decided to light up. But, you know, the ingestion of this Delta 8, whatever it was, I'm pretty sure the kid was probably just chilling, turn on some Pink Floyd. Parents walk in, like, oh, no, this is an overdose. Like, what exactly caused you to take this kid to the hospital, whatever the fuck? And then second off, the article is clearly right, because the store owner is not responsible. It should have been the parents. You know, there's a process here, but yet the cops, for some reason, felt that this drug czar, this drug lord, was, you know, El Chapo of CBDs was in effect. And, you know, this is the policing priority that we got to keep changing and keep reconfiguring and just advocating, like these ignorant places that people just trying to be citizens and trying to be just productive members of society getting fucked with every fucking time.
Right on.
Dang.
Tell you what, man. Tell you what. Well, did you know that there's also indications of a thaw in the glacial federal marijuana prohibition? So it's not just the globe that's warming. There is, you're going to see, and we have to update our map at cannabisindustrylawyer.com. If you have any questions about the cannabis industry, head over there and ask me. Biden's use of Biden's firing squabble exemplifies. That one's tough after smoking some weed. Biden's firing squabble exemplifies federal state differences over marijuana. Usage remains a federal crime regardless of state legality. And so that's creating the problem because you're going to be a federal employee and you're not complying with federal law. In fact, you're flouting federal law by smoking weed at work. You know, weed is a Schedule I substance, right? Unfortunately, it still is.
I mean, aren't we technically aiding and abetting a crime by just always saying how it's okay?
Well, again, this is not a federal conspiracy. This is a civil action to invalidate, because of the unconstitutionality, the federal marijuana laws. And so, that's another reason to support anything that Schumer does to make it a little bit more of a reasonable commercial regulation that's not completely divorced of actual facts. And so the constitutionality argument would be weaker under the Schedule III as opposed to the Schedule I. But you should, courts still aren't even supposed to engage in that type of line drawing unless that line is being a protected class. And so it's interesting. And so after these things change, we're going to be able to do some videos about due process, all sorts of excellent, really just, it helps you go to sleep at night,
right?
Type of stuff. But yeah,
I mean, for more than half a century, it's been illegal for federal employees to use marijuana, and staffers on day one are informed of policy memoranda explicitly prohibiting use of marijuana and other drugs, even though in the papers they said, hey, we're going to give you a chance. So, yeah. But despite the recent White House dismissals, a hint of under-the-radar thawing is afoot.
Yeah, that's what we hear. Now, that's back in February. That was the acting director of U.S. Office of Personnel Management, a.k.a. the OPM. Not quite the OPP. Anyway, Kathleen McGetton issued a new marijuana policy directive. The OPM's McGetton characterized the memo as one providing updated guidance to federal agencies about the impact of an individual's marijuana use on federal employment suitability considerations, which is interesting. So they're starting to talk about whether or not your use of cannabis will affect your ability to get a federal job.
And it shouldn't. I mean, this is, again, the zero tolerance bullshit is bullshit. Prohibition doesn't work. Let's treat citizens like adults. Can we not have bullshit headlines and treat cannabis like this weird thing that's weirder than alcohol when it's safer than alcohol? It's safer than most of the shit legal.
But Congress won't do its job. And Congress doesn't like to do its job very often unless there's been a goddamn catastrophe and then they feel like they should do something. Well, so that's kind of, it's terrible.
Between Congress and then celebrity influence. Check this one out. I shared this one with you guys before about Drake demands Rollo release and letter to President Biden. So Rollo is a rapper who was convicted of cannabis transportation, a large amount. But what is a large amount? The thing that bothers me about this headline is, there's two things. One, the fact that Drake writes a letter and gets a big stir, right? Fucking pisses me off. What should make the headline is there's a man being held behind bars over something that's recreational legal in over 16 states in our nation's capital. That should be the headline, not the fact that he's a rapper, not the fact that Drake wrote a stupid letter, but there's a man incarcerated
for flowers.
For flowers.
And what can these flowers do to you? They can make you feel pretty good, but other than that, not much.
Oh, that's the upside down that we keep talking about, man.
Yeah, well, that's one of the great things, and one of the things that I really enjoy about doing this is that every day we give a little bit more truth and knowledge to the system so that it becomes a little bit more just and fair and a little bit more like it was promised to us, at least in our founding documents. It's great to be able to help fix these wrongs of the 21st or the 20th century and to open more doors for economic wealth to all sorts of people that were cut out of it, and then to see that money really go into it to like fix all the. I mean, like they just sucked everything out of these places, and then they would arrest, and then they would take, and then the seizure over there, they would destroy your stuff because you would be peddling a plant that people wanted to buy, and you couldn't get a license to sell.
And it's not even just like at one time they were taking your stuff away, even if you were just like happen to be a bong producer, like auxiliary shit.
Well, it was Operation Pipe Dream 2003. Sent Tommy Chong, guest of the show. Check it out. It was fascinating how we got into the country to prison.
Yeah, I mean, just we have this. The priorities are all fucked up, and this is why we're here, because we're trying to get our shit lined up, right? We want to this is what you should be mad about, not about cannabis, not about legalization, not about. Hey, did we give our shout out to Daniel Calderone?
No, shout out to Daniel Calderone for helping us play Name That Strain. And if you have a strain that you would like to have us name, why don't we have Lauren tell you how to email it to her? Because sometimes she can make it be like an outline of just the plant bud, and then that makes for a better overlay.
Yeah, she's got the better skills. I told her my skills are MS Paint. Like I still got to pull up the MS Paint, try and do the little square outline. Come on, baby, and then cut, paste, and it still looks like shit. So it's all good.
What can you do?
Hey, I'm an IT guy, not a goddamn graphic artist.
Okay, so you can DM on Instagram for right now. Should just DM me at CannabisIndustryLawyer.com. Nice. Well, Cannabis Industry, just DM me at Cannabis Industry Lawyer. All the beautiful pictures of weed. And so if you want to play Name That Strain, hit me up on my DM at Cannabis Industry Lawyer, and that'll be how we can play that. It's quite easy, and then we just do shout outs about it.
That sounds amazing.
Cannabis milkshakes go to Oklahoma. And also cannabis ice cream is one of the hottest things right now in the edibles world. We should have a cannabis ice cream vendor. Dude. Oh gosh, I know just the guy, Uncle Bob. You have to call him.
We used to, during the medical times, we had a cannabis ice cream that was available at some of these stores. And what the guy did was a brilliant thing. He made a partnership with one of our local ice cream chains called Full Tilt, and they supplied him their homemade organic ice cream while he infused it with his homemade organic RSL. It was an amazing combination. Fucking miss this shit. Yeah.
That sounds amazing, especially coming into the summer. But thanks for tuning in, everyone. Let's shout out Vincent Ruckus, Seether, Nicholas Weiger, Jeremy Gold, Jess Baked, Timestamps, and Hugh. You're going to make me say your last name. Hugh Janus. Hugh Janus? Hugh Janus.
I think it's Hugh Janus. That's clearly not a mean name. Yeah.
Thanks for throwing us some cash. As we said earlier, 50% of everything we get goes straight to Cannabis Prisoners Commissary. So we're helping people get, Red Bull, soap, fucking shampoo, shit that they need. So thanks, everybody. That's super helpful. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you like and subscribe to keep up with all cannabis legalization news. We will see you on Wednesday. Woo.